10 times in Sullivan's Crossing a character made us want to throw our TV. Have you ever watched a show you loved, but also wanted to scream at every 10 minutes? Because that's exactly what Sullivan's Crossing does to me. And I'm not talking about a little frustration. I'm talking about the full, I can't believe they just did that. Throw your remote across the room rage. Listen, I adore coastal dramas. Virgin River. Comfort food. Chesapeake Shores. Soft cozy blanket. But Sullivan's Crossing. Oh, Sullivan's Crossing is that cup of tea you think is warm and soothing, until you realize someone put salt in it. And nowhere is that clearer than in these 10 maddening moments where the characters' choices made us question why we even watched this show. And yet, we can't stop watching. Seriously, do the writers have us hypnotized? Is this some kind of emotional hostage situation? I'm Sophia and this is Breakdown Epic, where we rip apart the drama you love to hate. And trust me, what I'm about to tell you about Sullivan's Crossing will make you want to pause this video, shout at your screen, and then hit play because you need answers. Oh, and if you've ever yelled do at your TV, subscribe right now because this channel is literally made for you. Now, let's dive in, and start with the moment that set my blood pressure permanently higher, Phoebe's complete inability to put Maggie first. Phoebe Lancaster, the mother who says she wants what's best for her daughter, but really wants what's best for herself. Do you know that one person in your life who gives you advice, but you know it's just a manipulative sales pitch for their agenda? That's Phoebe. From the second Maggie comes back to Timberlake, Phoebe's got one mission: drag her daughter back to Boston like it's a prize she's entitled to. Maggie's trying to reconnect with her father, sort out her life, maybe even heal, and Phoebe's like, but sweetheart, what about your neurosurgery career? What about status? What about me being able to brag at brunch? Here's the kicker: Phoebe's the reason Maggie's life imploded in the first place. She left Sully, uprooted Maggie, raised her in an environment obsessed with image over substance, and now that Maggie's standing on her own 2 feet, Phoebe just can't handle it. And the thing that made me want to throw my TV. Season 2, Episode 4. Maggie's on the cusp of finding a new rhythm in Timberlake, and Phoebe shows up with Andrew like they're the golden ticket back to Boston. Just come home, she says, like Maggie's some runaway teenager, not a grown woman with valid feelings. Tell me in the comments right now, do you think Phoebe actually loves Maggie, or just loves controlling her? Because the line's blurry, and that's what makes this storyline infuriating. But speaking of Andrew, oh boy, the man single-handedly created one of the most violating betrayals in Season 2. Picture this: you find out you're pregnant, you're still processing it, you've barely told anyone because, hello, it's your life, your body, your choice. And then you walk into town and everyone already knows. Why? Because your ex couldn't keep his mouth shut. Andrew Matthews, ladies and gentlemen. The man who apparently thought Maggie's uterus was a group chat. This moment is infuriating not just because it's a breach of privacy, it's because it shows exactly how little Andrew respects Maggie as an individual. He didn't just accidentally spill, he announced it to locals like he was giving a press conference. The audacity. And I can't stop asking myself, did Andrew do this out of genuine excitement, or as a power move to force Maggie's hand? Because look at the context. His relationship with Maggie was crumbling. She was finding independence again. Suddenly, he's got this one last connection, this baby. And what does he do? He turns it into leverage. This wasn't love. This was desperation dressed as devotion. And the fact that Maggie didn't completely torch him on the spot. That's one of Sullivan's Crossing's biggest missed opportunities for catharsis. Have you ever had someone reveal something about you that wasn't theirs to share? How did you react? Drop your stories below. I promise, I'll read every single one because we've all been there. But as annoying as Andrew is, at least he's consistent in his audacity. Unlike the next couple, who can't decide what they want from one episode to the next. I have whiplash, guys. Actual whiplash. Sydney and Rafe are the emotional equivalent of a malfunctioning traffic light: green, red, here-ish. When Sydney came back from New York, I thought, okay, maybe she'll bring some big city energy to shake things up. What we got was 3 seasons of I want you, followed by, I can't do this, followed by, actually, let's move in together, followed by ghosting him emotionally because she might miss out on a modeling gig. Rafe deserves better. Do we deserve better? Because watching this cycle is like watching someone repeatedly poke a beehive and act surprised when they get stung. Here's the thing: this relationship isn't just frustrating. It's lazy writing. It's drama for drama's sake. Instead of actual character development, we get this endless loop of commitment phobia. And maybe I'm crazy, but isn't this show supposed to be about healing? And yet, every time Sydney and Rafe appear, I know I'm about to waste 10 minutes watching a storyline that will go nowhere. Does anyone else skip their scenes on rewatches? Be honest. I do, because at least Maggie's issues feel rooted in something real. Speaking of Maggie, I need to say this: I like Maggie. I do. She's smart driven, and she's trying. But oh my god, someone please tell this woman it's okay to actually feel her feelings. For 3 seasons, Maggie has been emotionally constipated. She bottles everything up, avoids hard conversations, and then acts blindsided when things explode. I get that her upbringing messed her up. I really do. But at what point do we stop giving her a pass? Season 3 was supposed to be her breakthrough, and instead, we got more avoidance. Cal's trying to connect, Sully's trying to apologize, even Lola's trying to make amends, and Maggie's like, I'm fine. No, you're not fine, Maggie. None of us are fine watching this. And maybe that's the cruel genius of Sullivan's Crossing. It gives us characters who feel real enough that we want to shake them by the shoulders, which brings us to Sully, the man whose temper could power the entire East Coast if converted to electricity. Sully, the human storm cloud of Timberlake. I have never seen a man so committed to being perpetually one bad day away from flipping a table. Look, I get it. His wife left, he raised Maggie alone for a while. He drowned his feelings in booze. That's tragic, that's human. But you can't just explode at everyone like it's a sport. Season 1, he's snapping at Edna over a misplaced hammer. Season 2, he's throwing things in the outpost because someone mentioned Boston. Season 3, he's yelling at Cal for being nice to Maggie. Like, what's the logic here? And then out of nowhere, he softens in Season 3 when Helen shows up. Don't get me wrong, I loved seeing him happy. But the tonal whiplash was real. One moment he's the grumpy bear of Timberlake, the next he's carving wooden birds for his new girlfriend like a Hallmark hero. Here's my theory, Sully's anger isn't about his past. It's about control. When he feels things slipping away, Maggie, his land, his pride, he lashes out. And while the show tries to make this a redemption arc, half the time it feels like they just remember, oh right, Sully's supposed to be angry this episode, and flip the switch. Do you think Sully's growth has been genuine? Or is he just mellow, because the writers needed him to be? Comment your take. I might feature it in a future video, because I know this fanbase is divided on Sully. Now, speaking of men who don't understand boundaries, let's talk about Cal. Cal Jones. Sweet, steady, dependable Cal until he decides your life needs to operate on his timeline. Season 3 episode 8. Cal basically drops the ultimatum bomb. Move in with me, Maggie. Not, would you like to? Not, are you ready? Nope, it's framed as the natural next step. And when Maggie hesitates, he pulls the classic. This must mean you're not serious about his card. Excuse me, they've known each other less than a year. Maggie is still untangling decades of emotional mess. And Cal's acting like this is some kind of referendum on their entire relationship. I wanted to root for them so badly. I did root for them. But this scene felt like betrayal. Not because Cal's a bad guy, but because the writers took a patient, understanding partner and turned him into Captain Pressure Cooker for the sake of drama. Tell me this, would you have said yes in Maggie's shoes? Or would you have packed your stuff and taken a long, calming walk by the lake? Because I'm leaning toward the lake. Frank. The nicest man in Timberlake, until his best buddy needs something. And then suddenly Edna's opinions are secondary. This one cuts deep because I love Frank and Edna. They're the grounding force of the show, but the number of times Frank has dropped everything for Sully, often at Edna's expense, is astonishing. Season 2 episode 6, Edna's planning their anniversary dinner. What does Frank do? Cancels last minute because Sully's having a rough night. Season 3, Edna needs his support in confronting a land developer. Frank sides with Sully's, let's handle this our way, nonsense. Edna deserves better, and honestly, so does Frank. Because if he can't learn to balance loyalty to a friend with respect for his wife, he's gonna lose both eventually. And this brings us to one of the most infuriating betrayals in the series, Lola Gunderson's little stunt. Raise your hand if you've ever had a friend betray you in such a bizarre, petty way that you couldn't even process it at first. Yeah, that's Maggie in Season 2 when Lola stole Cal's goodbye letter. Let's unpack this. Cal leaves town to spread his late wife's ashes. A deeply personal, vulnerable thing. He leaves Maggie a letter explaining why, and Lola, in all her jealous glory, intercepts it and lets Maggie spiral into heartbreak, thinking Cal ghosted her. I mean, who does that? This wasn't just mean, it was cruel. And the worst part, the show didn't give Lola nearly enough consequences. By Season 3, we're just supposed to forgive her because she's changed. Sorry Lola, but character growth isn't a free pass for emotional sabotage. And speaking of women who deserve better, let's talk about Edna one last time. Edna, Timberlake's queen of sass, except when the men in her life decide to take charge. And suddenly she's silent. I hate this trope. I hate it. Strong woman talks big, but when push comes to shove, she's sidelined by the men know best mentality, and Edna suffered from it repeatedly. Land disputes. Frank and Sully bulldoze her ideas. Maggie drama. They handle it, while she stands by. Even when she's right, the show frames her as emotional, rather than insightful. I need Edna to have a storyline where she takes control. Fully, unapologetically, because watching her brilliance dimmed by two stubborn men is exhausting. And yet none of these moments. No Oni. Compared to the absolute, mind-bending insanity of Season 3's finale twist, I still can't believe I'm saying this. Maggie has a secret husband. If you told me at the start of this show that Maggie, I'm too busy for relationships, I don't even unpack my emotional luggage, was secretly married from some random summer fling, I would have laughed you out of the room. And yet here we are. This twist doesn't just break character, it shatters the entire foundation of the show. Maggie's whole arc has been about healing, self-discovery, reconnecting with her roots. How do you reconcile that with a hidden marriage she never mentioned to anyone? For years, it's lazy, it's manipulative, and it's the kind of shock, for shock's sake, writing that risks alienating the very audience that stuck with this series through all its flaws. And here's the Forbidden knowledge. Part no one's saying out loud. This twist wasn't about Maggie at all. It was about keeping the show alive. Cebu dramas have a history of pulling outrageous stunts when they fear cancellation. Secret twins, surprise deaths, now secret husbands, it's all part of the playbook. But at what cost? Because if Sullivan's Crossing doesn't find a way to justify this twist in season 4, it could go from love to hate to just hate. So, those are the 10 moments that made us want to throw our TVs while watching Sullivan's Crossing. Did I miss any? Did you actually like the secret husband twist? If you did, please explain in the comments. I need to understand how your brain works. And hey, if you're new here, this is what we do: we laugh, we rant, we overanalyze the shows that make us feel too much. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next deep dive. Because trust me, when season 4 drops, we're gonna have words. Until then, I'm Sophia, this is Breakdown Epic, and remember, never trust a drama set in a quiet small town, it's never that quiet.